In this video, I will show you how to create rendered images, the simplest way of creating rendered images. So to add a color or material texture to your image, press on A on the keyboard, and you should see this dialog box appearing, the appearance dialog box. All you need to do is scroll through, find the color or image you want, texture you want. So I'm going to choose this time plastic, glossy yellow, and simply click and drag it across. If you want to change the color of maybe just one part of it, a face of it for example, here, go to face, and we'll just click and drag the red over onto that face, and it will turn that face red. So you can do that with multiple faces if you wanted to. Okay, so very simple. That's how you add color or texture, or material texture. And I'm going to close this now. What I'm going to do now is just show you how to render the image. So rendering is not just taking a screen grab. What I would do for the simplest way of rendering is go to Design, Render, and you will see these tools appear. You can play with this very distorted image at the moment. You can play with that later if you want to. But you go into Setup, Scene Settings. What I always do generally is change the background. By default, I think yours will come out as grey. What I always do is change it to white. Okay, so solid color. You can play around with these settings, but you can change it to white. You can change it technically to whatever you want. But I always keep the background as white, simply because it makes it easier to edit the images later on. Okay, so I can then play with the camera. I can choose different types of cameras. I can choose brightness. I can make the image a bit brighter if I want to. You can do all sorts of things here, but you don't have to go mad. It's up to you. You can go into the environment and you can do all sorts of things. But again, play with it yourself. Get the view you want. Get the lighting you want of your object. Okay. Remember, the idea is that you take multiple images, so it's not just one rendered image. Yeah. So you turn it. You take one image, you turn it the other way, and take multiple images. So you can change. You have reflect. You can do all sorts of things here. Okay. Depends on what you've designed as well. Let's go back to orthographic. Let's just try that. So go to render. So here, go to this render under here. This is the quickest way of doing it. There's other ways of doing it. You've been sent a video on that. If you want to look at that and do rendering properly, you can, but it takes quite a bit of time. But the quality is far, far higher than this. So I'm going to go to capture image. In here, I'm going to choose whatever I want, say 1920 by 1080. That's quite a good number of pixels for a decent quality of image. You don't have to even make it that big, to be honest. It could be smaller, 800 by 600, and so on. Click OK, and save it. So down here, save to my computer, save it onto your desktop or wherever you want, and give it a name. You can choose JPEG or PNG. I wouldn't choose TIFF, it'd be a massive file, doesn't need to be. So choose JPEG or PNG, up to you. And save to my computer, you know where it's going, and save. Does it really, really quickly. Okay, that's the quickest way to get a rendered image. Then you should have somewhere on your desktop a rendered image which you can then put into. Then of course, change the angle, get a different view, close-ups and so on, to show that screw thread in there, showing different detail to show the complexity of your design. And again, keep it the same, click OK, give it a different name. Obviously, otherwise you're going to save over the last file and save it. Okay, so save multiple images so that you can bring them into Microsoft Word, put them all on the same page, add annotation, and so on. Okay. If you want to, you can play around with the animation. It's quite cool, quite easy to use. So all you do, visualize where you want to start, the starting point. Let's just bring it back. Let's just delete this. So click on this little storyboard which appears here. Click on that, delete that. So this is the first image I want of the object. Then I'm going to say 2 seconds later, I want it to move around to here. Okay, so if I just go back and play it, you'll see what happens. Yeah. Then another, I want it to move in a different way. Okay, you have to experiment a bit with it. And go back. You'll see how it moves around in the way you want it. Okay, you can control the time it takes as well to get from one point to the other point which you're creating. So it's really easy to create some quite simple animations. All right. What you've also got here, if you have, let's go back into the animation. If you've got an assembly, which you do here, so I'm going to select all these components. A cool thing, if you wanted to create a video, for example, and then share the video with me to show your design. Just make sure all the components are selected. What you've got here is this option. So let's just go to here, and under here you've got this auto explode all levels. And you'll see it creates an exploded view. It takes all the objects and just explodes them away. So you can go back to the beginning, play it. No, sorry. Yeah, up here you need to accept it. You can explode it a different amount, so you can take it really far apart if you wanted to, like that. And accept that. So now let's go back and play. And you can see it will animate it and move. It's not quite the way I want it. I want to be able to see all the parts moving apart. So you need to think about where you start and where you end. Okay, but again you can play with that and it will create something like that. So it shows you all the different parts, explodes them apart, and you can add that in to your animations. Right, when you're finished, when you've got the actual overall view and movement you want to, just go to publish. I would choose something like that, so maybe 1280 by 720 or 1920 if you want a slightly better movie, 1920, but obviously the more pixels, the bigger the file size. Okay, and also depends how long your video is. If your video is minutes long, I'd avoid that. It's just going to take up too much memory. So make it quite a short video, 20-30 seconds, should be fine in total. Click OK. And again, just save it to my computer. It's an MP4 file, call it something, and save it. So that will save your movie file, which you can play. Okay, so it's quite a cool way of presenting your final product. Okay, so think about you maybe using the video as well as creating screen grabs with annotation and so on. Thank you.